Industrial pasta machines produce noodles by extruding dough through a die. The die has holes in it, which are shaped to produce a specific type of pasta. As the dough comes through the holes in a continuous stream, a knife cuts the pasta to the correct length. This industrial pasta die produces fusilli, up to 1.5 tons of it per hour. And this is just a mid-sized die. The largest ones can produce 4 tons of pasta per hour. The die block is made of a bronze-aluminum alloy. A computer-guided machine drills holes for inserts through which the pasta dough will be extruded. The front of the block is then chrome-plated to protect against the sharp knife that cuts the extruded pasta off the die. The next step is to make inserts that go in the holes in the block. An insert is comprised of male and female parts and a non-stick plastic lining. A computer-guided mill cuts the linings from a plate of non-stick plastic. Another computer-guided mill machines the female part of the inserts in a more than 1/4 inch thick brass plate. Then, a worker places a lining in each female part. He taps it into position with a mallet and punch. The plate then goes back on the mill, which cuts an extrusion slot in the lining. The slot shape determines the pasta shape. A mill machines the male part of the inserts in another brass plate. A worker detaches the male parts from the plate with a punch and mallet. He detaches the lined female parts the same way. Then he assembles the male and female parts by forcing one onto the other with the help of a steel punch. He finishes the die insert by cutting off the protruding excess plastic with a blade so that the lining is flush with the top. The factory makes die inserts in thousands of different shapes. Some standard, others in the client's custom-made pasta shape. This computer-guided lathe makes brass locking rings which will secure the inserts in the block. Now, final assembly begins. A worker places the block face down and from the back drops an insert top first into each hole. Next, he places a locking ring in each hole. Then, with a hydraulic press and punch, he forces down each locking ring to within approximately 1 millimeter of the insert underneath. In this position, the ring holds the insert in the hole, but doesn't prevent it from spinning within the hole. The next step is to adjust the inserts to make their orientation uniform. He inserts a pin into each insert slot. Then he rotates the pin to rotate the insert. Once the insert orientation is correct, he forces the locking ring down all the way to immobilize the insert. Once he has all the inserts oriented the same way, he sands the chrome-plated front of the die, first with a medium grit disc, then with a fine grit sandpaper. The die surface must be smooth as silk for the knife to slice off the extruded pasta cleanly. He verifies the width of every extrusion slot with a gauge. This ensures every piece of pasta will be the correct thickness. Then, on the back of the finished die, he stamps the manufacturer's name. The die is ready to be mounted on an industrial machine that extrudes dough into perfectly shaped, ready-to-boil pasta.
抖音